and welcome to Making Sense of It. I am Mona Duncan, your moderator, and this program is our gift to you from the Glasser Institute for Choice Theory. You ever wonder why you do the things you do? Well, we help you to see and understand that so you can look and evaluate and see, do I want to continue in this vein, or is there some changes that would be more effective for relationships and success and well-being? So every week we have someone present a concept of Dr. William Glasser. And today our guest is Charlotte Taylor Payne. And Charlotte is going for certification. And she's here with me. She came all the way from Schertz, Texas, which is 161 miles from here, because Charlotte is an excellent presenter, but she is not that comfortable with Zoom. So I'm going to turn the program over to Charlotte. Her talk is on the car, the crossroads, and the choice. So welcome, Charlotte.
Thank you, Mona. Thank you very much. And I have to say, Mona's been my supervisor from the very beginning, and I enjoyed working with her. She has great things to challenge me with. Let's just say that. It's been delightful. Now, before we begin, what I would like you to do, if you so choose, is to get a piece of paper and something to write with. If you would be willing to do that, that would be great. But if not, that's okay too. Okay, so welcome to the car, the crossroads, and the choice. Okay, and this is a presentation on reality choice theory and reality therapy. Our founder, Dr. William Glasser, stated that all behavior is purposeful, and it is our best attempt at any moment in time utilizing the resources we have available to us. Concerning his life, Dr. Glasser started out as a chemical engineer, but found his passion in psychology. In 1965, Dr. Glasser wrote Reality Therapy, and in 1967, he founded the Institute for Reality Therapy. He wrote Choice Theory in 1998, and using this knowledge, went on to develop those wonderful quality schools. Dr. Glasser established the Glasser Institute, and his choice theory, reality therapy, has positively impacted the mental health world of today. Freud was the father of psychology. Dr. Glasser brought reality to us. Okay, and on the slide, I have 3 of my favorite quotes from Dr. Glasser. These are my choices, and I'd like to share them with you. The first, we almost always have choices, and the better the choice, the more we will be in control of our lives. The second quote, if everyone could learn what is right for me does not make it right for anyone else, the world would be a much happier place. And the third that I really like is the day we stop playing will be the day we stop learning. To assist us in taking charge of our lives, Dr. Glasser has given us 10 axioms or statements that have been accepted as truths. I call them the 10 cornerstones of reality therapy and choice theory. We will explore them further, however, briefly. They can be described, and I know this is very small, so I will read it out to you. Control, information, relationship, present, basic needs, quality world, behave, acting, thinking, feeling, physiology, chosen, and the verb I am. These 10 cornerstones. The first cornerstone, the only person whose behavior we can change is our own. That was a hard one for me to learn, by the way. All we can get from another person or other people is information. Third, all long-lasting psychological problems are relationship problems. And the fourth, the problem relationship, past or present, is always part of our present life. Number 5, what happened in the past has a great deal to do with what we are today. Revisiting the past can contribute little or nothing to what we need to do now, and that is to improve an important present relationship. Past is past. How do I choose right now what to do? And number 6, we satisfy our needs by pictures in our quality worlds, driven by our 5 genetic needs of survival, love and belonging, power, freedom, and fun. And 7, all we do is from birth to death is behave. And when I thought about this one, I thought about a tombstone. And a tombstone has a birth date and a death date, but it's got a dash in between. That's how we behave. What's our dash going to look like? It's our dash in between. 8, all behavior, all of our behavior is total behavior. It encompasses 4 inseparable components of acting, thinking, feeling, and our physiology, or how we are responding. And our total behavior is chosen. And we each have control only over our acting, our thinking directly, and indirectly, our feelings and physiology we control. And it's through how I think and how I act. And remember, our behavior is the only behavior that we can control. And all behavior, number 10, is recognized by verbs such as I am, I must do, I like. These are examples. Now let's take it down even further. Our basic needs. Glasser defined our basic needs that are universal. They are overlapping, they are innate. They are satisfied moment to moment, and they may be in conflict with other needs or others' needs. And I want to come back to that in just a moment. But our basic needs are genetically driven. They evolve over time and are the motivation for everything that we do. For instance, our basic needs are 5. They are survival, love and belonging, power, freedom, and fun. But to go back for a moment, to satisfied from moment to moment and maybe in conflict with other needs. And a friend of mine is named Barbie, and I call them Barbie and Ken. They're not their real names, but when I grew up, Barbie and Ken were Mattel dolls. So that's why I use those names. If your name is Barbie, it's not any reflection on you, I promise. But Barbie and Ken were married for several years, and for 8 years, they've tried to have a child. They could not. And they've tried everything, spent thousands and thousands of dollars, as you can imagine. So they finally decided to go into the foster stroke adoption system. 2 weeks after they were approved, they said, oh, we have a child. The social services called them and said, we have an infant that was just born. This was on, I believe, a Tuesday, and they were to pick that child up on Wednesday. And the child was born from a drug-addicted mother, and the child was born with obviously being addicted to drugs. This was a power couple, what we would quote unquote define as a power couple. All of a sudden, they're sleep deprived. They don't go out and exercise as much as they did. They don't go out on dates, but they chose to meet another one's needs, i.e. that infant's needs, over their own for the moment. And I thought, what a great example of that. Okay, so let's look at these. Okay, the first need is the need of survival. That is our only physiological need that we have. And it is individual as well as applies to the entire species. Remember, these are universal, these are global. Okay, it is a physiological need. It includes food, It includes shelter, it includes safety, and it includes the need to reproduce. That is one of our basic needs. Our second basic need is that of love and belonging. And this is a psychological need. The last four are psychological needs. Remember, survival is a physiological need. We need relationships. We need connections. And I liked this example because, of course, during COVID, it was hard to connect physical to physical with people. However, we had technology and we could connect. I have children that live all over the world, and I was able to connect with them through physiology. Couldn't visit them. I mean, through, technology. Couldn't visit them, but could see them and talk to them. Okay, affection. We need affection, need to give and receive affection, and we need to belong. We need groups. Our next need is that of power. And I like this one because it represents the need to achieve. And I like the example of Admiral McCraven. Admiral McCraven used to be the chancellor of the UT systems. He was a Navy SEAL, retired, and became the chancellor in his career of the UT, University of Texas systems. He gave the graduation speech, and I believe that speech was made in 2018. And he said, the first thing to do is make your bed. And I thought that was interesting. And he went on to explain, if everything else falls, quote unquote, falls apart during the day, you've achieved something. You've made your bed. And I thought that was brilliant. And that's what he told the graduating class. I thought that was brilliant. We each have skills and talents. They're very different for each of us, but they're unique and they contribute. We all can't be the same. What my mother used to have the saying, what a dull world this would be if all the folks were just like me. And I thought that was very interesting. But our skills and our talents, we need self-worth. I need to know that I'm worth something, and I am worth something. So, and we need to be listened to and to be heard. Now, I think this is interesting because listen and silent have the same letters. So I like what Glasser has said, that we need to be listened to and to be heard. And there's a big difference. I can listen and not hear you, but I need to be heard, and I need you to hear me. Okay, power. Our next one is freedom. This is another psychological need, to be independent, to know I can make choices. Okay, to be autonomous. I can be self-governing. I can have choices. I always have choices. And I need to be aware of those choices, and I'm in control of my choices. That's really great. That's a good, solid foundation, that I can make a choice and I'm in control of those choices. But I have to remember, I can't control anyone else. Okay. And our last is fun. We need to have fun. And it's another psychological need. And Glasser says we need to play. We need to laugh. We need to find pleasure. And I like that one because we have to survive. And in surviving, let's find pleasure in doing that. And we need to know that learning is fun. I love to learn. I have a sister, we both read, but my sister loves fiction books. I cannot stand fiction books. I'm like, why? I'm like in reality up to the top of my head. I don't need a fiction. But it's very interesting because I don't like to read fiction, but we both like to read. And I enjoy what I read. She enjoys what she reads. We have to have fun. Okay, and on our next slide, we should take control of and be responsible for our behavior. The connecting relationship habits. Glasser told us there were caring habits and there were disconnecting habits or deadly habits. And they are a way of life. As I read the deadly habits, I want you to think about how that makes you feel while we're reading it. Those are criticizing, blaming, complaining, nagging, threatening, punishing, and bribing or rewarding to control. Now, let's flip the chart and say, what are my caring habits? Let's look at those. Supporting, encouraging, listening, and I want to put a stroke there and say hearing, accepting, trusting, respecting, and negotiating differences. How does that make you feel? There's a big difference, isn't there? I'm happier on this side than I'm on this side. I'm more in control here than I am here. Okay, we have to stop trying to control one another. We can't. Okay, we have control of the choices that we make. And I like what Glasser said, choose wisely. I like what he said, choose wisely. We have our internal controls and our external controls. Internal controls is what I control. External is what may be happening around, and how do I respond to that? You have the choice. You can be part of the connection, or you can be part of the disconnect. You choose. Okay, here's where you'll need your paper. Okay, this is total behavior, and it's Glasser's car. All behavior is total behavior, and all behavior is chosen. And I would like, this is Dr. Glasser's total behavior. And in the engine of this car is those 5 genetic, innate parts of all of us: survival, love and belonging, power, freedom, and fun. That's in our engine. But in our car, we have a driver's car. This is not a Tesla car, by the way, which is all electric. Sorry, it can go by itself. Okay, we have our wants. We drive this car, but we have to drive it with this in mind. Okay, and when we drive it, we are acting, thinking. These are direct parts of us. The indirect is how we are feeling, and then what's our physiology, or what's our body's response. Okay, you drive the car, you choose your thinking, you choose your acting, and indirectly you choose then how you're feeling and your physiology. So I have an exercise if you'd like to participate. I'd like you to get out your paper and put down one want that you have right now, just one want, whatever that is, on a piece of paper. I'll give you just a minute to do that, just one want. Okay, now look at that, think about it, how you're going to act on it, what your feeling is right now, and what your physiology is like. Oh, I really want this. And I'm going to give you an example in a minute. Now I want you to draw a line under that and think about your thinking, acting, feeling, and physiology when you achieve that want, when you get that want. Think about that. And while you're doing that, I'll tell you one of the things that I want. I want to be able to play the cello. It's a big one. Okay, but that's my present you. So I thought about it. And I, of course, had to budget for it because I had to buy a cello. So I acted. I said, okay, I'm going to buy a cello. And in my music room at my house, I have a beautiful cello, and it makes me feel good to see it. And I'm like, wow, this is great. So my insides are real good. But the problem is, I don't know how to play it. So my next thing is I want to be able to play it. Now, I'm not a Yo-Yo Ma, and I'm not a Jacqueline Dupree. I'm not, and I don't strive to be that way, but I really want to play it. So what did I have to do? I had to buy a book on how to teach myself how to play the cello. And I actually had to open the book, and then get out the cello and acted on it. And when I did, I was able to play recently for my husband's birthday, happy birthday, one note on the cello, duh, 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 duh. It squeaked and all that. But I was so pleased. I was so pleased, and it made me feel happy inside. I was like, wow, look what I did. I played a note or two. So that's what we want. That's what we choose. Or we can choose those disconnecting habits. But I choose the connecting ones. I like those the best. But that doesn't mean I don't get involved in the disconnecting ones every once in a while. I have to say I don't. But I like to choose the connecting ones. Okay, I call this next the BrainWorks chart. It's Glasser's how the brain works, but I call it his BrainWorks chart. And in this, it's choice theory, and it's our perceived world, why and how we behave is Glasser's chart. Now I want us to look in our minds for a moment. And on our piece of paper, if you choose to put down bullet points, I want you to think in the picture of your mind, the pictures of your mind in your world, a moment in time where you really felt happy. It was a wonderful moment. Think about that and put that down in bullet points, just a couple bullet points. It includes people, things, ideas, and ideals, okay, that you put down, okay? Now, remember how you acted, how you thought, what you were feeling, and your physiology at that time. And this was your quality world at that time. Now, I'm going to flip that. Think of using the same criteria of people, things, ideas, and ideals. Think of a time when there was a disconnect picture in your life. And jot these down, what you acted, how you acted, what you thought, what you were feeling, and your physiology at that time on a disconnect. And I would like to ask you the question, which of those pictures would you choose right now? Which one would you choose? For me, it would be the connection, not the disconnect. I'm going to step back a minute, look at these two charts and say, this top chart is non-effective control and this chart is more effective control. But before we look at it, I've drawn a line here and I'm going to take a page out of the FBI workbook. That's a loosely said term. And what the FBI does in studying for fake dollar bills, just fake dollar bills, they don't study the fake dollar bills. They study the real ones. They know what a real dollar bill looks like inside and out, literally. They study it so that when they see a fake dollar bill, they can recognize it. So I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to focus on the more effective behavior. Okay, noting that the frustration triggers are there for both of them. And we'll look at that in a moment. Okay, we need to increase the quality of our lives in the present and into the future. And this can be through our quality world pictures. How we meet or are we meeting our basic needs? Remember those needs, those 5 basic needs. What will our choices be? Think of a place in your mind where you want to be. Where do you want to be? And our perceived world, this is our perceived world, is how we experience the world through our 5 senses: sight, hearing, taste, touch, smell. How are we perceiving the world? And this is our real world. It's not necessarily the real world, but it's our real world. And I want to make a distinction about that, because when I thought about real world, I look at my cat, and my cat can smell things I can't smell. My cat can see things I can't see. So this is my perceived real world. Okay, then I have a total knowledge filter. How we experience everything we know and our experiences is in our total knowledge filter. Okay, now you decide that the information is meaningful to you, and then this perception stops there of what's being brought in. And the perception stops. Or you don't recognize the information, but believe it may be meaningful and you investigate further. Or the information is meaningful and then it passes to your valuing filter. But I want to stop there and let me give you an example. In college, I had to study algorithms. I'm not good at that part. And I have to tell you that in my knowledge filter, I was like, I need the information because I need to pass the course. But after it got there, it stopped, because I appreciate computers being made. I appreciate all the algorithm mathematical equations that go into things, but that's not my forte. So I had to filter that out. Doesn't mean I don't remember some of it, but I studied for the test and went on. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, so it wasn't valuable to me, so I just kind of left it there. It was valuable at the moment, but not for a lifetime for me. So, okay, then I go into my valuing filter, and here we have the grid. This is real. The blue is what actually exists for me. The yellow is pleasurable, my feelings and my positive values. The red is things that are painful and negative, and the green is my neutral feelings and my neutral values. I'm sorry about that. I didn't turn the page over correctly. Okay, so I look at those and I think, is it pleasurable? I want that information. The information is painful. It's a negative value. Or the information is just neither negative or positive. That's my valuing filter. And I must note here that the information is different for each person. So what I perceive is right and true, for someone else that may be different. And what Glasser has pointed out is that information can change. And I think that's a good point, because as we grow and as we learn, information changes. And our perceived worlds are our reality world. And I like what Mona Duncan had given me as an example of a pitcher of water and a glass of water. The glass of water receives information, the pitcher pours out. So I give information and I receive information. And it's our best choice, our best attempt at a moment in time. Okay, we're going to review it. Our quality world is my pictures. All of my pictures in here received through my 5 senses and my experiences, my total knowledge filter, my valuing filter, positive, negative, or neutral. I choose the action. I choose the thought. I choose the resulted feeling. I choose the physiology. Information may change, and our perceived worlds are our reality. And before I close, I want to throw down, I want to throw down the gauntlet of a challenge. And that is, I would like you each, if you so choose, to buy a toy car. Dollar store, Walmart, Target, whatever your choice is. Buy a toy car. Put that in a significant place in your when you wake up, to see it every day, and ask yourself the question, who drives my car today? Who's driving my car today? Because it is, after all, your car. You will have your crossroads. You make the choice. And this is choice theory, basic choice theory, reality therapy from Dr. William Glasser. Thank you.
Yay, 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 yay. Charlotte, thank you, thank you, thank you. It was a delight to have to put this down so we can be on the same screen together.
Oh, okay.
If you want to move that. So when you're talking here about the fact that you kind of put it all together and how we have all these choices and everything, are we aware of those choices?
Sometimes we are aware and sometimes we are not aware.
So we have to consciously be aware of the choices that we're making, and how that maybe worry that we really can't, is not helping anything, can really give us an upset stomach or a headache or something.
Exactly.
Like that.
And I like the idea of worry, because worry can be a trigger. Because Dr. Glasser talks about the frustration. He calls them frustration points, I think. Let me give you the exact verbiage of what he calls frustration signals. And worry is a frustration. And I call them triggers. And how I respond to that trigger, how I respond to that worry, is how I'm going to make my choices.
Okay. So although it's our choice, we don't know it's our choice until a person that has a little more information points out to us that we are choosing to go with the disconnecting habits, or maybe make a pleasant comment to us if we're choosing to go with the connecting habits.
Exactly. I have 2 examples of that, actually, if I may share them.
Sure.
The first one is a personal example. My son is in the military. He is career military. He's special ops in the Air Force. And I get that phone call that says, Mom, I love you. I'll talk to you later. That's our cue phone call of when he's going to go somewhere and do something. And of course, I'm not allowed to know anything. And I can either sit and worry like, oh my gosh, what's he going to do? What is going to happen? Oh my goodness. Or I can choose to say, okay, he's very good at what he does. He's trained, and I'm going to leave it with him. There's nothing I could do. As a mama, I want to go beat up the enemy. Do you know what I mean? Like, get away from my son. But that's not an effective choice. So I don't let it dictate to me how my life is going to be. I can still smile and say, I'm very proud of my son, but I worry. But I also like what Dr. Glasser said about Viktor Frankl, and I'm not sure what book he said it in. He wrote many books and I've tried to read them, but he was talking about Viktor Frankl, who wrote Man's Search for Happiness, as we know, logos therapy. And Viktor Frankl was in the concentration camps. And Viktor Frankl, talked about they could do anything to his body. They could do anything to him, but they couldn't take away his choice of how he felt about who he was. And he didn't say it that way. Dr. Glasser did. He said he had a choice. He could give into it all, or he could come out as on top of it all, so to speak. Those are my words, not Dr. Glasser's words. But Viktor Frankl chose to say, okay, they could do whatever, but they can't choose how I'm going to think about it. And when he came out, he actually made it out of Auschwitz and Dachau. And when he came out of those, he rebuilt his university, and he took the notes that he had written down on scrap pieces of paper and wrote books from that. And Dr. Glasser coined that very nicely. He said, it's his choice. He made the choice.
So are you telling us that your son, who is in possibly harm's way in secret missions the world over, that you care deeply, but you choose not to be worried about it?
That is correct. It doesn't mean I don't think about it every now and then, but I've met some other moms and spouses of those in the military who just can't exist from day to day. And that's hard. And I understand that. But there's a choice that you have. I can either get on with it and have fun when he calls to say, oh, I've done this, 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 and this, and chat away, which is what he needs to hear because he shared that with me. Or I can be doom and gloom. My life is much more quality, has a better quality of life by saying, okay, he's trained, I've got to leave it.
So your challenge for everyone to actually have a car that they look at every day. What's the purpose behind that?
A visual. To help me remember that I'm driving my car. I make the choices. I have the choice. I can't change. I can't choose. I can't change anything for anyone else in my household or anyone that I meet, but I have the choice. And in counseling, it's very interesting because in counseling with reality therapy, I can tell my clients, share with my clients, they can't change. What you can't tell them they can't change. You lead them to understand that they can't change any other person, but they can change themselves and how they act or react.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe another challenge is, in keeping with Admiral McCraven, make your bed.
Yes, make your bed.
Well, thank you, Charlotte, for being
Thank
here.
you.
I appreciate you driving all the way
you.
up 161 miles, and I had the pleasure of having some more chit-chat time today. And thank each of you for joining us. And those of you that are live, hold on, we're going to close this out, but then you can talk with Charlotte yourself. So thanks for being here, and have a great week and good mental health.